for her, cheaper, own her own data, and get rewards. Zoom was doing none of that. They were taking her data, sharing it with their AI. They were raising their prices, and they weren't giving her any rewards for using it. And so it was an easy transition for her. She doesn't need to understand blockchain. She doesn't need to understand crypto. She just needed to understand how to set up an account like she did with Zoom, which she'd already done. Very similar process to get set up. And so I look at this project, and I see very few barriers of entry. We can be global. I've done meetings. I don't know where everybody is here. I'm in Florida, but I've done meetings with Vietnam, Dubai, Sydney, Australia. I was in Oklahoma at my lake house, or in Puerto Rico at our house there, or Kansas. It shrinks the world, really. The world's a much smaller place because of projects like Arlink. And so we can be global with the snap of the finger. And right now we're in beta. We have a few thousand clients. They're all from our community, internal. But we are getting ready. I believe in the next couple weeks, we're going to launch outside of our community. We'll do the $10 a month, $30 a month, $50 a month. And as that scales up, if it goes well over the first few weeks, we'll launch the free version. And we have the ability to create ad revenue for the free users. So if you bring us free users, we could reward you for that as well. And so I see this as at this point, I believe we have the opportunity to be the most viral blockchain project in history. I think there will be more viral ones that come down the road, probably as Facebook becomes decentralized, as companies come in and decentralize social networking. That'll probably grow faster than a video conferencing platform, but no one's figured that out yet. So until it happens, I do think we're going to be at the tip of the spear of bringing in regular, non-crypto, non-blockchainers into a Web3 environment where they don't even need to realize they're coming into that environment, Warren. And the more users you have, the more value for the token. The more utility, the more use, the more value. We're getting ready to start the revenue flywheel. I think this week we're taking like $100,000 of revenue that came in, and we're just putting it into the market. And so I think you'll start to see the token trading here over the next month or two, more and more aggressively. And again, we might be right, we might be wrong, but the beauty of I think the way our philosophy is attacking this industry is the blockchain is it gives us efficiencies and allows us to compete, but it is secondary. The cryptocurrency gives us rewards and people can use them, but it is secondary to building a very profitable, high revenue generating company. And so my focus is to build a massive company, another multi-million or multi-billion-dollar company in the ideal scenario, where the token and blockchain are a piece of that business. But the business could stand on its own, even if it was a traditional Web2 company. And so I think having that focus is so different than anything that's really been involved in blockchain or Web3. Almost every project is an idea. Most of them never come to fruition. We're already live. We're the opposite of those projects. We're live, and we're building the project first and letting the blockchain take care of itself. In traditional reps are irrational. Crypto markets are uber irrational. Like the multipliers in the blockchain space, it's almost hard for people to fathom how much higher the market cap, and it shouldn't be, right? That's the cool thing, I guess, for us being involved in the space at this point, where we're kind of in the Wild West, is there were days where Gala's market cap at its peak was $40 billion, which was illogical. Like, there's no way that gaming project on the chain should have had a higher market cap than Tesla's in 2021 at any point. A $40 billion market cap. But the fact that it was there and it shouldn't have been there is irrelevant. So when you look at the fact that it was at 40 billion, and my degree, I studied finance and economics, and I understand the corporate value to some extent, and there's no way it should have been valued that high, but that's irrelevant. The fact is, if you were holding that token and $4 billion a day of that token were trading at 87 cents, and you had $100 million worth of that token and you sold it, you were going to have $100 million US in your account. And to have, and so I don't think we need to get anywhere near 20% of Zoom's market share to have the crypto world come in pretty heavy. And I have potential institutional money coming in fairly heavy. A couple international banks are looking to come in on our node network. We just finished the filing on December 10th for a Reg D with the SEC. So we actually have an investment instrument that holds the Arlink nodes in a token. And I have companies like Madison Trust with 23,000 members a lot of them doing self-directed IRAs. And to go into digital assets, they have to create LLCs. They have to jump through a lot of hoops to get into digital assets. Well, the fact that we just filed and got approved for a Reg D with the SEC, we have a security. We have a securitized token. It's not our Link token that you'd find in the crypto market. It is the actual nodes. It's the software. And so as more money comes into this Reg D token, more nodes show up inside that token, and it's a liquid asset. So banks like it because if they come into like a PPM or something in real estate, a lot of times they're in a project for 3 years, and until it comes to fruition, their money's tied up there, which is fine. That's they know the rules, they know that game. But if we can offer them a security where it's very liquid and there's a secondary market for it, that's where a couple banks out of the Philippines have been very interested in what we're doing. And so I think you're going to start seeing more institutional money come into blockchain. You're going to see more retail investors come into blockchain, and you're going to see more users like grandma and grandpa come into the blockchain. Jay, you had a question or comment?
I really appreciate you discussing the Reg.
You'd want to use. You wouldn't say the coin is not a Reg D. The coin is a utility token.
Right.
So the Reg D token is basically an investment instrument that holds our Link nodes in it.
Okay.
So as more money comes in, as low as $10, I think can come into that Reg D, and as high as 10 million. That's a Reg D is authorized to raise 10 million. If it goes really well, we'll file for an A+, which can do 75 million. And if it's going really well, we'll probably do a Reg D with Revo, with Grow. I've already talked to all the brand presidents, and they're all pretty excited. This all went through legal as well, through Blockade. We have investment advisors that actually brought the idea to me, some blockchainers and traditional investment advisors, big advisors with big networks on a global scale. And when they brought the idea, I said, you know what? Like you can take a Reg D. You need to tokenize an asset, and because our nodes are classified as off-the-shelf software, it's actually classified as a depreciating asset. Like when I bought the node software in 2023, I purchased $53 million worth of nodes, and I took 100% bonus depreciation and what's called a Section 179 depreciation, and I wrote all of that purchase off. Every node I bought, I wrote it off as a business expense. I was able to take the depreciation in 1 year, which was great. But because it's classified as an asset, you can tokenize that asset. And so that gives us the ability to say, hey, our nodes have a token that's registered with the SEC, and you can use that investment instrument to buy into our node network, to buy into that software through but yeah, to answer the question as far as the value and the revenue flywheel adding to that value, the goal in essence for me is really to build a big company that drives revenue. And if my mom swipes her credit card, Twitch, our banking blockchain, we want to take that $10, purchase $10 worth of our Link tokens, the Rally tokens, and then take those tokens and give her service. And so she doesn't need to know that that's happened when she used her credit card. There'll be a little disclaimer that she's buying a reward that's going to pay for her service, but all she really cares about is she paid the money, she got her service. But behind the scenes, it's taking that fiat currency and buying into the Rally token, getting a blockchain currency. And that creates buy-side pressure on our token. And so our goal right now is pretty much all the revenue that comes in. We don't need that much of it to operate. We'll need about 10% to operate. But for the most part, even now, we're going to create enough liquidity where 100% of the revenue can go into the market. Right now, about 70% goes into liquidity pools, meaning creating options for cryptocurrency users to buy our token. Bitcoin against the Rally token, Ethereum versus the Rally token. Those are liquidity pools. An Ethereum liquidity pool against the Rally token. Bitcoin liquidity pools against the Rally token. Binance, the BNB token against Rally. Solana, their liquidity pool against the Rally. So we can buy into those liquidity pools and create those pools for people that want to buy our token using their Solana or their Bitcoin. So about 70% of the revenue creates those pools to give people options, crypto users to come in and buy. The other 30% right now is straight buying our token out of the market. It just goes into the market and buys it. And it creates buy-side pressure pretty aggressively. And the goal really in my philosophy is when crypto winter comes, which it will come, it always does, and people start selling off their Bitcoin, selling off their Ethereum, they'll sell off their Ripple, they'll start selling out of all cryptocurrencies. This will probably be early 2026, I'd guess. And as that's happening, they're going to retreat into stable coins. They're going to retreat into USDC, USDT. They'll get into stable coins or the Euro stable coin, whatever it is. Ideal world for us. When that's happening, if you go to CoinMarketCap, all the coins will be in red, meaning they're all going down. And the ideal scenario is something like Arlink is driving so much revenue, it's in the green. And so let's say you're selling off your Bitcoin, you're a crypto investor, you're selling off your Ethereum, you're selling off your Ripple, and you go to sell off Rally, and you're looking at your price point you want to sell off. Let's say it's $1.20. And you go, yeah, you know what? I'll take anywhere from $1.15 to $1.20. That sounds good to me. And you look, and there's buy side pressure up to $1.30. Now, as a trader, immediately you don't put in your order. Like if you're trading, you literally look at it and go, well, I'm not going to place a sell order at $1.20, and certainly not at $1.15 if there's buy orders trying to get it at $1.30 and they haven't gotten filled yet. So then you go, okay, so maybe I sell at $1.30, but maybe I don't. Let me dig a little deeper. They look on chain and they go, well, this project doubled its revenue this month over last month. And there's more volume on the buy side this month than last month. Every other cryptocurrency on planet Earth has all sell side pressure. Every company, like every project is literally in the crypto winter, there's far more selling going on than buying. And if we're the only token or our projects, there's 4 or 5 of our projects that are the only ones in the world in green on CoinMarketCap. My thought process, if I'm exiting Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple, instead of retreating into a stable coin, I would retreat into a token that has utility and has revenue that's basically propping the price up right through the bear market. And so that's really the I think, short-term goal for us between now and the end of 25 and early 2026 is kind of traditionally, if the market cycle holds true, as it has for the last 15 years since cryptocurrency was created, if this market holds true to that cycle, my short-term goal is let's drive enough revenue. It's a flywheel where grandma paying her monthly service bill is going in and creating more buy-side pressure on our token, creating more utility for our token. So at the end of the day, if we can hold, then the next bull run could be as good or better than this one. If people know this is where you go when you want to retreat out of most cryptocurrencies, who knows how big the market cap would go. Too. Not that we're not selling nodes, but like I'm speaking at Mar-a-Lago tonight about blockchain, and I'm not going to talk about nodes. Now, there's people there that are worth billions of dollars that could buy as many nodes as they want. I'm not going to mention nodes at all. They asked me, the member at Mar-a-Lago is like, what's your main focus on your talk? And I said, I want to educate people that they can own their own data. They don't have to let a company like Zoom monetize their data anymore, and they can get rewarded for doing something they're already doing now and getting nothing for it. And that resonates with people, especially nowadays. I think more and more people would like to have the ability to control their data. And so I'm really focused on adding users, as many users and communities and networks as we can bring in that are paying $10 a month, $30 a month, $50 a month. It doesn't matter which one, but the better we get at bringing that user community on, the better the utility of the token and the value of the token is going to react to that market. KeenTech, Hayden Shank, he's the founder of KeenTech. He's a big node owner in our ecosystem now, has a lot of Rally nodes. They're getting ready to go public as a company. In 2019, they became a vendor for Zoom. And by late 2019, early 2020, they were the largest vendor for Zoom. 22,000 sales reps. They brought millions of customers to Zoom. They're agnostic. They could bring customers to Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Whatever's best for the client is where they guide them. But they've been using Arlink in the beta. They love it. And they are wanting to go exclusive with Arlink. Now, they'll still be able, if somebody says, hey, we need Zoom, yeah, they're going to be able to sell whatever they need to sell. But they're going to basically instruct their 22,000 sales reps that are going B2B every single day, multiple times a day, and going, listen, the first choice for everybody that needs video conferencing is now Arlink. It used to be Zoom. And they brought millions of business clients to Zoom. And now the goal is let's bring all these new clients into Arlink, and let's see if we can transition a lot of the old clients away from Zoom and back into Arlink. And so, again, they're waiting for us. You know, at the end of the day, we have to be, scaled up, I think, in a controlled method. So that way we don't have customer service issues. We don't have any tech issues. And that's why we've been in beta for the last few months, is just to iron out a lot of the issues that we face. And there'll always be issues. I had somebody that was talking to me, they were using Zoom and they were like, man, I was having trouble with my login. I needed a code. And I was on the phone with their customer service and he's like, I need the code. And the lady was like, well, you need to log in. And he's like, I'd love to, but it's asking me for a code or I can't log in. And he's like, I was stuck there with her. They had to keep escalating. Finally, they reset his account and got it fixed, but it was like 2 hours later. And then I was on a Google Meet. There was a firm out of Dubai and they couldn't get on our link. Their VPN was jacking up a little bit. And so we got on later, but they had to use Google Meet and they wanted to share their screen and the screen share wasn't working with Google. So again, I'm not saying we'll have zero issues, but the vast majority of issues seem to be cleaned up right now.
Well, yeah.
I think within the next 2 weeks, we are going to have our shopping cart live, meaning outside clients are coming. They're coming. They're not beta anymore. And so they're just going to be able to go to the link and sign up for the service. They won't know anything about nodes. They won't know anything about blockchain. They'll literally just be users. And that's coming very quickly. If that scales up well, again, I'll add the free users. If that scales up well, we'll go to Hayden and his team at Keemtech and go, we're ready. Like if you added 1 million users in the next week, we can handle it. You know, we'll have the AI chat bots, like everything is set for scale and that controlled growth, but we're close to being able to unleash companies like that into this platform, which again, the more users, the more utility, the more value. It was under Trump, we've got Bobby Kennedy Jr., and they call it MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. So it falls under that kind of MAGA umbrella. And they are part of the administration. They're hiring in 300 initial hires. Some of them are pretty big community members that are probably going to be working in the current, the new administration here as of January 7th, when Trump takes office. And so they've got 80,000 employees that they oversee with MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. So the initial 300 hires will oversee 80,000 total government employees that come into that space. Hopefully it gets a lot smaller than 80,000 with the Doge, with Elon Musk and Ramaswamy. Hopefully they can, kind of create more efficiencies in our government. But that being said, Del Bigtree is one of the big representatives for MAHA. He works directly with Bobby. He spoke on stage with Trump at some of the rallies. He actually produced a documentary called Vaxxed, VAXXED, Vaxxed. And you should check it out. But not long ago, the CDC was caught withholding information that they were supposed to share. And Del Bigtree and his nonprofit basically sued them and won and forced them to actually give that information out. And so he's been a huge proponent to make people healthy, to educate people about their health. And that's why Bobby has brought him in really to head up the Make America Healthy Again mission. Del alone, I think his podcast reaches, maybe 7 million people an episode, something like that. So he's got a huge outreach, a huge network himself outside of the Make America Healthy Again community that will be much, much larger than his community. And he's wanting to utilize that. I think Bobby Kennedy was at one of the bigger grow farms not long ago to visit it, but he's really big. And I think anyone that wants to be healthy is really big on knowing what you're putting into your body, which Grow does that. They're really big on being healthier, moving, exercising, watching your calorie intake versus what you're burning if you want to drop pounds. And we have the Move to Earn platform with our health and wellness blockchain. And so they've wanted to partner with Galvin on health and wellness. They want to partner with Grow. And because they do so many events and so many virtual events, they're big on controlling their own data. So they want to use our link as their video conferencing platform. And so we have 3 of our projects that the team at Make America Healthy Again are wanting to utilize. Now, the goal would be it goes well with them, and then we introduce it to all of the administration. And so the White House would start using this platform for communications. The White House would start using Grow to order in meats, fruits, vegetables for their meals that are cooked in the White House. And so, I think initially, just if Healthy Again crew, you're talking about access to probably 100 million plus people pretty quickly. But if we end up with the whole administration, then yeah, we do have access to 300 million Americans pretty much overnight. And I think the rest of the world would probably take notice to a blockchain that's representing at the highest levels of government in the United States. Here, I was with them all day, maybe 4 days ago. You know, I'm being recorded here, but let's go off the record and just say it's a done deal. Like these guys are busy. You know, they just won the election. They have to hire 300 people, and if they don't hire them, Trump's team will hire them, right? So you've got Trump's team that's hiring some key people and saying, hey, you guys got anything with health and wellness in the government? You need about 300 employees. Go hire them all. And so they're buried. They're doing as much as they can. Imagine having to hire 300 highly qualified individuals that are going to help you oversee 80,000 government employees. And so they've got very little time to accomplish very big things. And they're taking time out of their schedule to go visit a grow farm, to fly to Puerto Rico, to meet with us and chat about our projects. Like they're not chatting with us trying to figure out if they're going to do something on the blockchain. We're chatting with them, figuring out the logistics. How do we launch it? How do we control the growth? What do we start with? So it's more kind of logistics conversations than it is, should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? Should we? That conversation was weeks ago, and we're already done with that conversation. Now,
so if with that new information, Tony, I mean, I know we've talked about R-Link being the easiest thing for people to adopt internationally, because ultimately all you have to have is internet to be able to join and be a part of the R-Link community. Do you feel like that is going to speed up some of the growth of some of those other tokens like we discussed in Vegas? What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, I do think it'll speed up for sure, because, you know, the bigger the community gets, the faster it's going to speed up the utility of our tokens, which creates value. The fact that the administration will be using R-Link with Maha, I think we'll still be faster than the rest of them. I mean, again, I could be wrong, but, you know, if all three of us are representing there and we're all over the world overnight and can generate more revenue than them faster, it's going to be fairly quick. And then my goal is I'll probably just take a lot of the funds that come in from R-Link as we can start to exit some of those. And I can't exit until you guys do. Like, until I have to wait until the market is made. That's the good news and the bad news. The bad news for me is when you buy $53 million worth of nodes, you can't participate in a rug pull. Like, I can't just start selling out all my tokens and maybe I get $30 million out of it and everybody else loses their ass. Well, I lost 23 million then. I didn't even get back what I put in. So I have to wait until the market is made. And so I'm selling into the world, and you guys can sell into the world as well. And so that, I think, is the good news for the project. And I believe in that philosophy. In fact, I would put myself in that philosophy. I knowingly did put myself inside that philosophy because it's the philosophy I have. I think it's the best way to do business is we all win or no one wins. And that is not how traditional markets operate. There's definitely companies that I've ran where I could take a big W and a lot of people would take an L. Now, I've never done that, but I certainly had the ability to. And I've seen people do it all the time. I've seen people that literally that is their careers. You know, there's corporate raiders. They do it all the time. Private equity does it all the time. They'll buy a successful business. And so for me, you know, I think those three projects are looking very, very good. You know, I did talk to him about the transportation blockchain. I've got education coming on here. And I'm working on the details. We have 6 universities that are ready to use R-Link. They have courses that they want to teach over R-Link. So we can potentially offer like an executive MBA course with a university certificate, their seal, and it's on our blockchain. And we can market it. We can advertise that. So education is looking to sit on here. I just did a call yesterday with one of the largest heads on beds travel companies on the planet. So like think of like a booking.com and Expedia. So this group is one of the 5 largest kind of travel conglomerates on the planet. And their main specialty is what we call heads on beds. Cruise ships, put your head on the bed. Hotels, head on the bed. Condos, head on the bed. You know, and so they're really, really good at that. And they are looking to come into the transportation blockchain because they can do flights, they can do rental cars, they can do hotels, they can do condos, they can do cruise ships, anything travel, anything transportation. We're going to look to put them on the Rev blockchain, the Revolution blockchain. And so it's not just rideshare anymore. And I had an amazing call with these guys. And again, yesterday, the call was would you guys want to do this? Would we want to do this? That call is over. Now we're going, how do we do this? How do we structure it? How do we bring you guys in? Which products, which services? Do we want to just start with your condos? Do we want to go all heads on beds and do cruises, condos? So there's a lot of upside that's happening right now. Everything is aligning for us. And so I don't think there's, one project that I would say, oh, that's probably going to have a hard time making it. I think there's projects where I would say, as a betting man, I would go, okay, I think Arlink's going to be the first to the finish line. After that, I think Grow and Revo are slated to be right there. And I think Galvin is starting to close the gap. Now, Switch is involved in the middle of all of the transactions all the way. So there's certainly huge upside for Switch as well. The only downside with Switch is similar to the one with Grow. You can't send food all over the world if you don't have farms all over the world. And with Switch, the banking world sometimes turns on them, and they have in the past, and they've always rallied and figured out ways to move ahead. But that can certainly hurt your time frame if the banking world does something that's kind of out of your control, that hamstrings you. I think the new administration will help that, and I think could fix the problem forever. But until that happens, again, there's certainly more risk factors in some of those projects, in my opinion, that have a heavier lift than something like this, where we can just go all over the world now.